Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking about post-rotation Gholdengo, which has quickly become one of my favorite decks in the format. It's also really strong. With Monkey Dory, you're able to play around your opponent's pesky damage spread, and you also just have the big blow-up option of Make It Rain. And your deck is really consistent when you get to Cypher Maniacs, whatever two cards you want on top of your deck, and draw them both with coin bonus. Yeah, the deck is able to thin its deck really aggressively and make it so that late game Ionos to 1 or 2 aren't really impactful, and you're still going to find all the pieces you need to win the game. And a lot of decks can't really keep up due to their lack of consistency. The Terra Box matchup, for example, is not great on paper since you don't have a way to deal with their Pikachu EX in one shot due to its ability. However, they just get a little bit too far behind because your deck is able to really efficiently attack on turn 2, and their deck kind of stumbles sometimes due to the lack of thinning. You can kind of win with a late game disruption. You can do weird lines where you mind bend their Pikachu. They only play one switch card. And it's a Turo, which means they're not using Crispin, and that just really puts them in a really awkward spot and lets you win a lot of games that you shouldn't be just because your deck is more consistent. And that's really a big thing with this meta, just making sure you have a consistent deck, and Gholdengo is both consistent and really powerful with its unlimited damage cap. So yeah, let's get into the deck profile. Alright, so first off, we have the pretty obvious 4-4 Gholdengo line. I mean, you just always want to set up, like, 3, it feels. Even sometimes you get to set up 4 and it's just so broken. I'm not sure what the optimal line is right now. I definitely want 1 continuous coin toss, but right now I have 3 because I don't own any of the Surging Sparks ones. They're in the mail somewhere, so hopefully I get them soon. But there's also a lot of like random times where continuous coin toss is solid. You can, like, flip 1 heads on a Budu and then move their 10 damage from Itchy Pollen, and that gets you off the odd prize, which can be really solid against decks that don't leave damage on your board, so you don't get to, like, do that later. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like Minor Errand Running, I haven't really used it ever, because I have the Energy Search Pro past, like, turn... I have pretty easy access to it with Arven and Cypher Maniac, so, like, past turn 1, I'm just, like, never really using it, and on turn 1, a lot of games... If I'm able to attack, I want to be using TM Evo. But yeah. Then I also have the one Baby Gholdengo with Strike It Rich. This basically just lets us get through simple walls like just Mimikyus. You one-shot a Mimikyu because they're weak to metal, which is strong against Feraligatr. Then you also can usually get through like one cornerstone if your opponent isn't like built around it. Obviously, something like walls will still probably wreck you with like double cornerstone. However, I'm not sure on like the popularity or strength of that deck right now, so I'm kind of fine with where just the one Baby Gholdengo is at. It also lets you disrupt a prize trade in some matchups where you're kind of going 2-2-2-2-2. And it lets you put them on an odd prize, and yeah. So it's a pretty strong card overall. Then we got Pheasantipede, just helps you combo off when your opponent takes a knockout, just such a broken card. Monkey Dory, since we're playing every energy to combo with Energy Search Pro, we have Dark Energies, so we get to have Adrenabrain, which is broken against stuff like Pult, and maybe Guardy. It's hard to say right now because Guardy's in like a weird spot of how it's being built, but in past formats it was really good against Guardy. I also have Iron Bundle. It's just such a strong card when your opponent is like forcing you to KO a certain Pokemon, because a lot of times in the early game you have to be using Cypher Maniacs or Arven, so you can't be using a boss's orders. And if you do, you're probably not finding like enough energies to take a 2-prize knockout. So the bundle is just lets you put your opponent in awkward positions. It's just solid. I like having it. And then finally, this is how I've been like combating the consistency loss of Pokestop and Radiant Greninja. Squawkabilly EX. It's a bit weird, you know, there's a lot of hands you can't discard. However, when I've been using Squawkabilly, it's actually been performing really well, especially with a Cypher Maniac. If you're going second, you can actually just like stack your deck however you want, and then you get like all the combo pieces. Like, imagine you just have an energy and you start like a Gimme Ghoul or something. You can go Cypher Maniacs, a TM Evo, and a Poffin on the top of your deck, and then Squawk and Seize into both, and you have your turn 2 TM Evo, which is really good. So it makes it so you have like 7 Arvens almost. Obviously, you have to, like, draw the Squawkabilly and Cypher or an Arven, but yeah, I don't know. It's been feeling really good when I use it. I'm not sure if I use it enough to continue to keep it in the deck, but I don't know. I like it overall. So it's going to stay in there for now. Then, yeah, supporters are 4 Arven, 3 Cypher, 2 Turo, 2 Boss, and an Iono. This is all pretty standard. Like, last format, it was like 3 Arven, 3 Cypher, 2 Turo, 2 Boss, and changed to 1 Turo, 1 Roxanne. I just upped the 4th Arven, because against Terra Box, where they're threatening the Wellspring play, to knock out 2 Gimme Ghouls. It's really important to be able to TM Evo really consistently to get into Gholdengos, so they don't get the free 2 prizes and put you in an awkward spot of being super low on Gimme Ghouls for the rest of the game. And then the 2 Turos are really strong just to be able to find them when you need them, and the Iono's great for that little disruption. This could be like any tech for Terra Box, but I think Iono is just the best generic card because it is early game consistency, and it also is the disruption card. Like that is one of the weaknesses I found about Gholdengo when like testing for Vancouver is that they weren't playing any disruption cards at UIC, so it was actually just really easy to build a hand and abuse the fact that they could not do anything to my hand. Yeah. So then items, pretty obvious. 4 Superior. Our deck doesn't really function without those. 4 Poffin. Just want to see it to get it for your Gimme Ghouls. 3 Nest Ball, 2 Ultra Ball. I had a 3rd Ultra Ball in at one point, but I ended up cutting it for Counter Catcher, which I'll talk about later. Basically, these are just more outs to Squawkabilly, and that's pretty good. The Ultra Balls are outs to Gholdengos, but I am playing 2 TM Evos, so I'm not too worried about finding them. And also, if you have like a Cypher Maniac, 1 Gholdengo turns into 3 Gholdengo really quickly, because you put your 1 Gholdengo on the active, Cypher 2 more Gholdengos on top, draw into both of them, and then boom, you're rolling. So yeah, 2 Night Stretcher. I really want a 3rd one with the Squawkabilly. I found some awkward discards. Potential cuts could be something like the 4th Arvin or the Iono. Yeah, I'm not completely sure yet. 3 Night Stretcher would definitely be good. I think you just have to be careful with how you play with only 2. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's fine for right now. The 1 Vessel, basically, it lets you not commit your Energy Search Pro if you're just KOing something like a Fan Rotom, for example, or a Hoot Hoot. But also it lets you find your energies if you do prize your Energy Search Pro. Counter Catcher is really strong if against like faster decks like Raging Bolt. It's also really good against Terra Box if they do like a Fan Rotom attack going on their 2nd turn, going first, or their turn 1 if they're really lucky, to like KO a Gimme Ghoul, because then they go up a prize, and then you get to Counter Catcher one of their 2 prizers. And it's overall felt like a very necessary card. I probably would not play the deck without it right now. Then I also have a Switch. It's just an item-based way to pivot. The big thing with the 2 Turo and the Switch, it seems like really excessive. However, with only 3 metal energies, it's really easy for your Gholdengos to get stuck into the active. Since we also only have 1 Vessel, 1 E-Search Pro, that one of them you're probably using early in the game, it can get really awkward to be able to power up 3 Gholdengos. Like, if you prize a metal, you can only power up 2, and sometimes you may need to, like, pre-attach to play around Ionos, but then your opponent gets, like, lines where they get to boss your Gholdengo with no energies, and it's just really awkward. So you want to be able to find it, and since it's not a supporter, you can Arvin or Cypher for the Switch and still pivot. Then I have 1 Pokegear. I had 2 at one point, but I just cut it for the Iono because they're both consistency, but the Iono is the disruption. Obviously a 2nd one is just not bad. It's like gonna be pretty good. But yeah, I haven't really felt the hit of consistency. And then I have a Palpad, mainly just because of the Squawkabilly to have extra recovery. If I was not playing Squawkabilly, I would not be playing Palpad in this format. One of the main reasons I was played last format was because of Pokestop, milling your supporters. But yeah, Palpad is actually really strong though. It lets you set up like really strong deck compositions. Like you thin your deck really aggressively with E-Search Pro and your draws. And Superior and Ultra Ball, like you get rid of all your bad cards. So then if you play like bosses earlier in the game or have to discard them earlier in the game, you get to Palpad double boss, and then your odds of drawing it off of like an Iono are so high, especially when you have Fez and coin bonuses. So yeah, and then obviously our ace spec is E-Search Pro, not much to say there. It's broken, lets you just blow up whatever you want on your 2nd turn, or whenever you play Gholdengo basically. So yeah. Then 2 TM Evos, like I said, it's really important against the Wellspring Ogre Pawns in order to evolve up into Gholdengos to protect your Gimme Ghouls, since we have no mana fee. And I think Terra Box is going to run rampant, since a lot of really solid players played it. And people love playing towards 60s, which, I mean, valid, they're really broken. But yeah, so I think Terra Box is going to be pretty popular, so just want to have a solid time into that. I'm not playing any, like, text right now to be able to one-shot a Pikachu, or, like, deal with the Pikachu, like, I don't know, there's a few options, but basically, you can't one-shot a Pikachu with Gholdengo, and if they have their Crystal on it, they can kind of just spam their Pikachu attacks, which is really bad for you. So and you don't really get a chance to attach to Monkey. They also don't leave damage on your board a lot of times, so you kind of need to find, like, a tech for that, potentially. I've been fine doing, like, Mind Bend shenanigans sometimes when they have a slower start and I am able to set up Monkey, or, like, Gholdengo, or, like I said earlier, the continuous coin toss stuff. It's not great, but it's an option. So, yeah. Then I also have an Artisan. This can basically be any stadium. The big thing I found with post rotation is the more consistent your deck is, the better it is. Like, a lot of decks are just missing that consistency from No Pokestop, Trekking Shoes, Radiant Greninja, Luminion, Rotom, Forest. Like, there's so many good consistency cards gone that the more that your deck sets up, the better positioned you are into the meta. Even if you hit something that's not a great matchup, you can kind of just win games through that. Like, I found with Terrabox, I've been playing, like, no real techs. The Iono, I haven't tested any matchups or any games into Terrabox with it, but I was winning plenty of games without the Iono. Like, my list had no text for Terrabox, and it was just going fine. Like, I don't know. I think consistency is just really important in this format, and a lot of decks are lacking it. And it just gives you a really strong advantage over your opponents. Yeah. Then energies, I only have 11 right now. 3 metal, 2 dark, and then one of the other 6. Like, yeah. This is one less than last format where they were playing 12, because they had the 2 waters to attack with Radiant Greninja. That's one of the reasons I do want the 3rd stretcher also, since I'm playing 1 less energy. It's just kind of like, I'm not sure where I want to find the space from. Like, it could be like a cut Squawkabilly and Palpad angle for the 3rd stretcher, and then, like, could be another consistency card in Pokegear, or like 3rd Ultra Ball. I don't know. I think the 3rd Ultra Ball gets a lot weaker though without Squawkabilly. All right, I do also want to talk about Dragapult Gholdengo and Dunsparce Gholdengo, which both place in top 16 at the Champions League. So neither of these are what I just showed you, but both have their merits. So they both, in a way, have, like, additional draw to combat the no Pokestop and no Radiant Greninja, and also give themselves a solid tech into walls. Well, sorry, the Dunsparce list doesn't have one yet. However, you can play the Dunsparce EX, which for a colorless does 60 times the amount of EX Pokemon your opponent has in play. So that one lets you attack into the Cornerstone, since it has no ability, just 2 attacks. But yeah, so these are the 2 lists. I'm going to start with Dragapult. So with Dragapult, you get Recon Directive and Phantom Dive. So Phantom Dive is a fantastic attack, as we know. Like, Dragapult just won Fortaleza and Vancouver in the same weekend. 2 completely different builds, too. But Recon Directive is kind of a mid-draw engine. It's like a glorified Judge Whistle, my friends and I like to joke. But yeah, it's pretty weak. And you're dedicating a lot of space here. You have the 2/2/2 Dragapult line, 2 Crispin, an extra Psychic and Fire energy. Like, I don't know. Overall, it feels like a lot of space to dedicate for not much being added, because sure, Phantom Dive plus Monkey Dory gives you a lot of cool plays, but you can also just make it rain and one-shot your opponent's active 2-prizer a lot of times. Like, it just seems like it takes a lot of time to set up, and you're using up a lot of space just for very low returns. So I'm not, like, completely sold on it, but obviously, like, Dragapult Gholdengo's been performing really well. It even did well in Prismatic Evolution's Champions Leagues. Like, so, I mean, there's definitely merit to the deck. I don't like No Cypher Maniacs, though. That card is disgustingly broken in Gholdengo. Like, I don't know. I would definitely be playing one of those, but yeah, it's fine. So, yeah, this version seems cool, but I'm not sure if it's the best choice. Now, Dunsparce, I think, is a bit stronger, since you're getting that draw 3, which does obviously work with Cypher as well. My only issue is that it's still kind of space consuming, obviously less space consuming with only a 3/2 line. That's only 5 spaces, which is a lot less than all the stuff that came with the Dragapult. But the Dunsparce is, like, a bit awkward to chain, especially since they're not playing Artisan, which really surprised me. What's really strong with the Dunsparce engine is when you, like, do your draw 3, shuffle it back in, and then you get a Dunsparce back out with an Artisan in play. So, I don't know. I think the draw 3 is really good. This was definitely my first inclination when I started to build Gholdengo, or started to think of it, like, before EUIC for post-row. But then I saw the EUIC build, and I'm like, this seems so much stronger. Like, I don't think we need the Dunsparce. I think we can get away without it. Like, the Pokegears add a bit of extra, like, smoothness to the deck. Or I guess I'm only playing 1 right now, but, like, Squawkabilly and Pokegear really just feels good. Also interesting to note, neither of these lists played bundle. I think it's just they don't have the space with their new draw engine. And yeah, I do think that the Dunsparce is a little bit better than the Pult. Although I think my build is a little stronger than the Dunsparce just because I get extra space. Like I get to play a second Evo, so I have a better chance into Terra Box. I get the bundle. The bundle's really strong. I have Squawkabilly and Palpad, which is really nice. And there's no Turos in here. There's also no Switch. Like, it just seems so weak. And one stretcher. Like, I guess there's the Levincia, which I actually want to talk about. Levincia is really cool. It's just take 2 lightnings from your trash, which is really good for Gholdengo. I guess that makes up for the one stretcher. I was considering in my list, as I mentioned, Artisan is like a flex stadium, can be whatever you want. Then you have to find a space for second lightning, which could be the second dark, which honestly doesn't seem too bad. I found a lot of times it's a little hard to have the extra attached to be able to set up Monkey Dory right now. But you could also like do what I said earlier, cut the Squawkabilly and Palpad for like a lightning and then a consistency card like Pokegear, and then cut the Artisan for Levincia, and then you have the Levincia option, and you even have 12 energy, so you're in a pretty good spot. Yeah, I mean, that doesn't seem bad. I do like the Artisan though, since you can use it under Budu. Obviously, it's like not easy to find, but it just, I don't know. I think Artisan's solid. I think Levincia is cool. I need to test with it a bit more. Jamming Tower is another stadium I did think of. Neither of these played it, but it shuts off Crystal, which is actually really strong in this format because we don't have Vacuum. We have Ruffian, I guess, but using your supporter as Gholdengo to just discard a tool is really low value when you could be using Cypher Maniacs or Boss or Turo. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the Champions League list. I'm just gonna go back to my list to wrap things up. The deck is really strong. It's really good at setting up and just doing what it wants. Like, Cypher Maniacs is such a good card. It's really opened my eyes to Cypher Maniacs as an engine, and unfortunately, without refinement, it's not as abusable. I wish I had tried it more in Guardy pre-rotation, but I don't know, with like Mew EX and Zoroark, there's a lot of ways for Cypher to be good. Searching your deck for 2 cards is really good, as it turns out. But yeah, so Gholdengo feels really strong. A lot of its matchups seem really good. I might talk more about it in an article, so check out my Metafy, see if I post something there. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe and comment, I guess, for algorithm. I don't know how this works. Yeah, until next time. Bye.